Hey everyone, welcome to the video. This one we are lineup building for week 13 of the NFL season on Draftkings. This is my favorite video I put out every single week because we went through the week, we did all the research, we broke down all the numbers, all the players, and I made my core plays video, which you should watch that video first because you get a better background of the guys I like this week, and then we're putting it all together to build a cash game lineup together. Now, disclaimer, this is not a guaranteed lineup I will end up using tomorrow. I've used it sometimes. Sometimes I pivot off of other guys. But this is just me going through my cash game lineup building process. This is supposed to help you guys build your own cash game lineups with your own thoughts, but you can also use my process that I go through it. I like to use guys that are going to be high owned, have pretty decently safe floors and high ceilings as well. Then you can put it all together. That makes a pretty solid cash game lineup build. But before we continue, so I should mention we're going to build multiple cash game lineups today. So I'm going to try one with a mid-range quarterback, a value quarterback, and a high-end quarterback, and we're going to see how the lineup construction differs from each way you go at quarterback this week, because I do think you can go multiple ways at quarterback. But before we continue, you guys can leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. We're getting decently close to 3K subs. Hopefully we can get that soon. That would be awesome. And thank you guys for all the support on this channel. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at ChrisPennell16. And if you want access to the spreadsheets I build every single week for the NFL season, links in the description below for my Patreon. Although Patreon will charge you on the first of the month, so if you signed up today, you're gonna get double charged. So if you want to sign up for my Patreon, I'd recommend signing up tomorrow morning. You can also get access to my Discord where I discuss things with everybody, and you can ask me any of the questions you want. All right, without further ado, I say we get right into the video. So we're gonna first build the main lineup build that I started with. Now I have not tried building ones with a value quarterback yet or a high-end quarterback, so those ones will be on the fly. But I did pre-build this lineup. So the quarterback we're going to use in this one is going to be Jared Goff. He comes in at 6K, and I just love the matchup for him. I know it's been pretty awful for Jared Goff. I mean, since week 10, he scored 6 points in each outing. He has not thrown a passing touchdown since November. It doesn't have the date on here, but since week 8 going up against Cincinnati, then he had the bye week. So it's been about over a month since he's thrown a touchdown. But I do think positive regression hits hard here for Jared Goff going up against the Arizona Cardinals. We have a 47.5 point total for this game, and they're 3-point favorites. So I really don't think this game gets out of hand where they can only just run the ball, because Kyler Murray and that offense is capable of putting up points. They've done it versus San Francisco multiple times, and the Rams defense, not the greatest, not the worst, but they just got absolutely boat raced by the Baltimore Ravens last week. And but yeah, Jared Goff, like I said, it's been gross for him. He's had 3 brutal matchups recently versus Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Baltimore. 6 points in each outing. It doesn't really get worse than that. But this is a great matchup versus Arizona. They are 28 DVOA versus the pass. They're allowing 27.8 points per game to quarterbacks, which is most in the NFL. They've allowed career games to Jimmy Garoppolo multiple times now, and they're allowing just on average 315 passing yards and 2.64 passing touchdowns per game. If Jared Goff just hits that average, I will be extremely happy with that, because we get the 300 yard bonus from Jared Goff. We're going to get multiple touchdowns. I will take that all day, and honestly, I think he can get you 300 plus with 3 to 4 touchdowns in this matchup, just depending unless Todd Gurley gets all the touchdowns, but hopefully that does not happen. But I know, like I said, Goff has sucked, but he's actually excelled in good matchups before, and obviously this is a great matchup. Versus Atlanta and Cincinnati, he has 25 and 25. Tougher matchup versus San Francisco, 2. Then versus Seattle, decent matchup, 21. Then a great matchup versus Tampa Bay, 27. And yeah, so he's pretty much struggled in tough matchups, but he's been fine in good matchups. And when he's got a clean pocket, he's a really good quarterback. I know that goes for pretty much every quarterback in the NFL. But especially for Jared Goff, he's got drastic splits, kind of like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has been awful under pressure. Jared Goff has been awful under pressure, but when given a clean pocket, he's been pretty good. So Jared Goff at 6K, I do like him a lot versus Arizona. I do think he's a pretty safe play. So we're going to plug him in at quarterback as for right now. Then the way you should really start your cash game lineups is going up with Christian McCaffrey here. He comes in at 10,500. I just think he's a cash game lock this week. I mean, just look at his game log. He's going to get you volume. He's talented, and he's efficient. I mean, 34 versus New Orleans. That's an extremely tough matchup. He wasn't that great on the ground, only 2.9 yards per carry, but he had 9 targets, 9 catches, 69 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, yes, Christian McCaffrey, he is matchup proof. 33 versus Atlanta, 29 versus Green Bay, 40, 30, 21, 50, 33, 30, His worst game of the season was against the number one rush defense in the NFL in Tampa Bay, where he had 7 points, then 45 points versus the Rams. You cannot go wrong with Christian McCaffrey here. He is a cash game lock for sure. He's going to be high owned, and if you don't have him in cash and he gets 40+ points, you are done. You might as well log out of DraftKings because it's game over for you, more than likely. And he's going to offer you, like I said, volume, talent, and efficiency. It's hard to get all those three things. Usually guys get volume, but it's hard to get volume with talent and efficiency as well, and that's what Christian McCaffrey will offer us. He's getting nearly 28 touches per game, which is most in the NFL, 20.09 rushing attempts per game, which is second only behind Nick Chubb, 7.45 targets per game, which is second only behind Alvin Kamara, and he has a 20% target share, which is also only behind Alvin Kamara. He's getting over 155 total yards per game, which is the most out of all running backs and just players, and it's most by all running backs by 20 yards. And he's averaging 32.5 DraftKings points per game, which is actually a pretty substantial difference from Dalvin Cook, who is second. So McCaffrey, there's nothing else I like here. He's also a 10-point favorite at home. Not that anything outside factors really matter for Christian McCaffrey. He's going to do good no matter the matchup or the Vegas total or whatever. But it's always nice when your running back's a nice 10-point favorite at home, and it's also a great matchup versus Washington. They are 21st DVOA versus the run, and Washington is allowing 26.6 points per game to running backs, which is 10th most in the NFL. And Washington is also allowing 112 rushing yards per game. Christian McCaffrey, you have to play him this week, so I will be locking him. And it's really not that hard to fit as well. So we got CMC in there as our running back 1, and then our RB2, which is crazy to say, but we can fit Cyclone Barkley in as our RB2. I mean, it's hard to think you'd ever be able to play CMC and Barkley in the same lineup, but it is definitely doable this week, and we are going to do it. So he comes in at 7,400, and it feels like I am picking some guys that have struggled recently in my cash game lineup, which might be a little scary, but the matchups are so good. You know, Jared Goff, he struggled. Cyclone Barkley, he struggled. I mean, versus the Jets, 13 carries for 1 yard. Yeah, that's yikes. Still at 8 points, and then versus Chicago, 3.5 yards per carry, only 3 targets, 2 catches for 1 yard, 8 fantasy points. But I do think, you know, he's had bigger games recently, and not recently, but you know, in the early portion of the year. And I think we see more of the same of that than we have recently. But he's getting 20.8 touches per game, which is 8th most. And with Barkley, we get volume and we get talent. We're not really getting the efficiency right now, but I do think that could win out in this game. It's a great matchup versus Green Bay. They're 28th DVOA versus the run and allowing 114 yards per game. And they're also allowing 29.5 points per game to running backs, which is 3rd most in the NFL. And we're getting a big discount from his usual price. Last time I made this video, it was Black Friday, and I said we were getting a Black Friday discount on Cyclone Barkley right now because his average salary this season is above $8,800, and so we're getting a $1,400 discount as of right now. And I will take that. I'll take a nice buy low opportunity on Cyclone Barkley anytime I can get, especially in a good matchup. And like I said, if you can't absolutely fit in CMC, you could definitely go double 7K running backs, but I'm fitting in CMC in cash games. Maybe that's more of a GPP thing, but definitely like Cyclone Barkley here, and I don't think you have to play him, but I do think he's an excellent option. I do think he's going to be high owned as well. So CMC and Cyclone Barkley. I know I put in Jared Goff first, but if I'm building my cash game lineup, the first place I always go is my running back position, and I am plugging in CMC and I'm plugging in Cyclone Barkley first. So definitely like Cyclone Barkley, and he will make the lineup. And then the next thing I'm going to do is plug in my flex, and that's also going to be another running back, and that's going to be Myles Sanders here. He comes in at 5,400. I really like him a lot this week. He's been pretty chalky the past couple weeks, and I expect that to be the same. His price really hasn't risen much. 4,100 versus New England, but then 5K versus Seattle, then only came up 400 versus Miami here. And I think this is going to be an awesome play. So I said earlier in the week this was contingent on Jordan Howard news, but he's yet to be cleared for contact, and today's Saturday, so I can't imagine he is going to play in this game. So that's going to leave Myles Sanders as the RB1. I know J.J. exists, but he really wasn't a factor. In the past 2 weeks with Jordan Howard out, Myles Sanders has played 84 and 85% of the team snaps compared to his usual 30 to 40%. So it's a substantial bump, and he's only 5,400. So he's getting the main back here. He also has 9 targets the past 2 weeks and 28 total touches. And this is an elite matchup versus Miami. They're allowing 29.1 points per game to running backs, which is 4th most in the NFL. They're also 29th DVOA versus the run and allowing over 130 rushing yards per game. And Philly has the number 1 offensive line versus defensive line run blocking matchup on PFF this week. And he's getting Lane Johnson back, which is always a big help. So Myles Sanders, I don't see how he doesn't pay off his 5,400 price tag. It was a really ugly game versus Seattle. We still got 11 points versus New England. Really tough matchup. 6.7 points. But I do think he can hopefully get into the end zone, but he's going to be involved through the air. He's going to be the main running back. So Myles Sanders, he makes a lot of sense this week. And they're also 10-point favorites at home. So always like it when my running backs are big. Not at home, sorry. They're in Miami, but they're still 10-point favorites. Not like Miami's much of a threat. So Myles Sanders, definitely like him this week. So I like my 3 running backs quite a bit. They're all capable of pass catching, and they're all the main running backs. And Christian McCaffrey and Cyclone Barkley are both capable of 30-plus point outings. So definitely like the start to this lineup. And so then we're going to move on to the wide receiver position. And you guys know who I'm plugging in first. I said that he's my lock of the week. I guess technically McCaffrey could be my lock of the week, but I love Davante Adams here. He comes in at 7K, and I don't see how we get away from him this week. He's going to be the top wide receiver of the week. I think most people are going to start their lineups with Christian McCaffrey and Davante Adams, and deservedly so. I mean, this is a smash spot for him. He's simply mispriced for his talent, volume, and matchup. His past 4 games he's played, he has 48 targets. I mean, look, 15, 11, 10, 12. And the matchup doesn't get much better than New York Giants. I guess Tampa Bay would be a little bit better, but after that, it's the New York Giants. So you want your wide receivers versus them. They're 27 DVA versus the pass. They're allowing 43.3 points per game to wide receivers, which is second most. And Adams is pretty much the only receiver here. Lazard exists, MVS exists, and Geronimo Allison exists, but they kind of suck. Davante Adams is the obvious wide receiver 1 here. And he also has PFF's number 1 wide receiver versus cornerback matchup of the week with a 40% advantage versus corners Janoris Jenkins and DeAndre Baker. Adams should smash here. They are 6.5 point favorites on the road. They have a 26.5 point team total. I think Adams can get in the end zone twice here. He gets you over 100 yards. Probably going to get 12 plus targets. So Davante Adams, definitely a smash play. I'm locking him in. I love the start to this lineup. We got Jared Goff, which it's a great matchup versus Arizona. Then we got Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Davante Adams. These are 3 of the best players when you're going into your redraft leagues this season. So definitely like the start to this lineup. They're all in good matchups, and they all should be able to smash here. So now we're on to the wide receiver 2 spot. And at this point, I think we're going to go down a little bit to the 5K range, and we're going to look at Dede Westbrook here. He comes in at 5K, and he's just a little bit too cheap here. So I like DJ Chark quite a bit, but I just cannot fit Chark in with guys like Barkley, CMC, and Davante Adams. But it's a fantastic matchup. They're going up against a pass funnel defense. Now, I guess there's a chance of storms in this game around 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. But I really don't usually care too much when it comes to rain. It's really just wind. And I'll be honest, I didn't look at the wind. So make sure you keep an eye on the weather here. But if it's just a little bit of rain, I don't really care too much. They're professional football players. They will be fine. And if that's going to take people off of them, I'll take it, because when it's wet, if the field's wet, the offense gets the advantage because they know where they're going. The defense is guessing, so I'm going to give the advantage to the offense here. I really like Dede Westbrook here. Tampa is 25th DVA versus the pass. They're allowing 49.7 points per game to wide receivers, which is most in the NFL. They're allowing over 200 receiving yards per game to wide receivers and 1.64 touchdowns per game. And it's a pass funnel defense. They are very good versus the run. I think they're going to be throwing the ball quite a bit here. Dede Westbrook, you get, I think, 1,600 savings off of DJ Chark, and he had 9 targets last week and 6 targets the week before, 7 points and 14.9 points. I like Dede Westbrook here. He's a talented guy. A great matchup versus Tampa Bay. They're going to be more worried about DJ Chark, I assume, so definitely like Westbrook here in the slot. So we're going to plug him in there, and I like him quite a bit. I do believe he will be high-owned as well. I really don't think the rain's going to matter too much for people getting off of, or on Dede Westbrook. So at this point, we have 2,900 left. And I know you're probably thinking, how are we going to fit a lineup together still? Well, trust me, we can do it. So we're going to go down here to the 3,600 range, and I don't mind Demaryius Thomas here. He's questionable, but all indications suggest he is going to play, is what I'm reading. He practiced limited, but Wednesday through Friday, but I guess there's no reports to suggest he's truly at risk sitting out Sunday. So we're going to assume he's in. And if you look at his game log, I know he's not great, but he's only 3,600. This is the cheapest he's been all season. No, he has 3,300, 3,400, 3,300. But his price came down a little bit recently, and he's been fine. I mean, 14 points, 8 points, 4.2 points. Not great, but he's seen targets, 9 targets, 5 targets, 3 targets. They were killing Oakland, so we're giving him a pass there. But going up against Cincinnati, one of the worst defenses in the NFL, I think he can get you 5+ points here, and he's only 3,600, so I will take it. If he gets into the end zone, obviously we'll be happy. I don't think he's scored yet this season. He has not. But Sam Darnold's been playing well, and at 3,600 going up against Cincinnati, I don't mind it. So we're going to plug him in just as a salary relief play. And look, if he doesn't explode, it doesn't matter because we got guys like Goff, McCaffrey, Barkley, Adams, Westbrook. Hopefully those guys do all the heavy hitting for us, as well as Myles Sanders. If Demaryius Thomas just doesn't goose us, I will take it. So Demaryius Thomas, he's our flyer. Also have a couple more flyers, but as for the defense, let's go to the defense first. I'm liking the Browns defense here. Yeah, I know I'm a Browns fan, so maybe I feel like a homer here, but I think this game's going to be pretty low scoring. I think it's going to be chippy. We know both teams don't like each other right now, especially from that Myles Garrett incident. So I can see this game being pretty low scoring, but on the bright side, Olivier Vernon's getting healthier, and Larry Ogunjobi will be back from suspension, so the defensive line's getting beefed up a little bit. So I think this game, going up against Duck Hodges, I really don't have too much respect for Duck Hodges. I think Mason Rudolph's probably worse, but I don't really think Duck Hodges is going to put up 30-plus points against this Browns defense, which has actually been pretty solid this year. So at 2,600, I do think they're going to be one of the more higher-owned defense. They're on the road, but I don't think this game is going to be very high scoring. I could see this end up being like something like 17-10, 21-10 in the Browns' favor. I think the Browns can get some sacks here, probably get some turnovers from Duck. So Browns defense at 2,600. This is one of the lowest Vegas totals on the slate. I believe earlier in the week it was like at 40. Yeah, it was at 40 earlier in the week. I think it's right around there right now. So Browns defense, I don't mind them plugging them in at 2,600. I think they're going to be pretty solid for their price tag. Now at this point, we have 2,500 left. And I know what you're thinking. We don't have salary for anybody. But yes, we do, because Gerald Everett is out. I wish I put him in my core play video, but Gerald Everett is out. He was 4,600. And if you look at his recent game log, 2 targets, 1 target, 12 targets, 3 targets, 10 targets, kind of all over the place. But Tyler Higbee here, he is 2,500. He's going to operate as the main tight end. If I can find him up. Okay, so yeah, 2,500, Tyler Higbee. He will operate as the main tight end here, the clear-cut number 1 tight end. And I believe he's been playing around 70% of the snaps recently, and he's going to be the only tight end on this team. So definitely have to think his snaps are close to 80% in this game. In last game, he saw 6 targets, 5 catches, 20 yards. If you're going to be the only tight end on a decent offense going up against the Arizona Cardinals, who are getting absolutely blasted by tight ends, I think I have it written down somewhere how many points they're giving up per game to tight end position, which I do. They're giving up 21.4 points per game to tight ends, which is dead last in the NFL. Tight ends versus them pretty much score every single week. We saw Ross Dwelly have a pretty good game versus them as well. Tyler Higbee, not the worst player in the world. 2,500, I will take it. He lets me get in guys like McCaffrey, Cyclone Barkley, Davante Adams, Dede Westbrook, Myles Sanders. So 2,500, I will take the flyer there. I mean, it's a great matchup. He's going to see probably 80% of the snaps. Going to get a few targets versus Arizona. Cheap touchdown will pretty much do it for me. And we also get our correlation of Jared Goff and Tyler Higbee, because I always like to get one of my pass catchers with my quarterback. So I think this lineup's a pretty solid start for a cash game. So we got Jared Goff going up against Arizona, elite matchup. Christian McCaffrey, obviously you got to play Christian McCaffrey. Saquon Barkley, too cheap going up against Green Bay. Davante Adams, too cheap going against the Giants. And I actually like the correlation play of Saquon Barkley to not to Davante Adams, but and Davante Adams. I think it just makes a lot of sense there. I think, the Packers are going to put up points. Saquon Barkley is going to be involved in the passing game, kind of just running it back. So I think they're 2 excellent correlation plays. Then you got Dede Westbrook going against Tampa Bay. Demaryius Thomas is just a flyer, but it's a good matchup versus Cincy. Tyler Higbee going to operate as the number 1 tight end on this team with Gerald Everett being out. So you got to like Tyler Higbee. Myles Sanders, and he's also correlation play with our quarterback. The Myles Sanders, he comes in at 5,400. Great matchup versus Miami. Should be no Jordan Howard. And the Browns defense, they fit at the end. Should be a pretty low scoring game. So and they should get the win there. I don't really see them giving up too much points to Duck Hodges and Benny Snell. So I do like the Browns defense there. And that gives us 0 salary remaining. I do think most of these guys will be high owned. Pretty safe floors, good matchups, high ceiling. So I think this is a solid start to a cash game lineup. Now, I said we're going to try to build multiple lineups here, so I'm going to try to spend all the way down at quarterback and see what happens. Because I do think you could get away with playing Andy Dalton this week, because he's just dirt cheap. And if you look at his game log, look, 21, 21, 14, 18, 5, 18, 22, 25. These aren't too bad. I mean, it's not like he's complete trash. The Bengals are trash, and, no John Ross hurts. But at 4,700, you don't have to do much to pay off salary. Give me 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. I will take it. So at this point, we got 1,300 left. Maybe we could get up to someone like Jack Doyle, or probably just upgrade. Here, let's restart this. So that's probably how I want to start my lineup. So we got 4,100 left. We could pair him up with Tyler Boyd. That might make some sense. So get some correlation going on there. So we can plug in Tyler Boyd. We could possibly play Jack Doyle maybe. And that gives you 3,600 left. You could run it back with actually Demaryius Thomas, so that would actually make some correlation. So I don't really know if that's much of an upgrade of anything, because I really don't think Jack Doyle compared to Tyler Higbee is the biggest upgrade in the world. Yeah, I like Jack Doyle more, but I'm not really sure if going up from Dede Westbrook to Tyler Boyd is really worth it just from getting down from Jared Goff. So maybe if you leave Higbee in, it gives you 800 left you can play around with. You can get 4,400, and yeah, I'm really not liking it. You can play around with it, but I'm really not. I'm liking the other lineup construction better, because I really don't think it's worth going down from Jared Goff to Andy Dalton just to get in Tyler Boyd and Dede Westbrook over Dede Westbrook. So not my favorite. You can always get up to Jack Doyle, but let's just see if it's possible to fit in Patrick Mahomes this week, because I do think he's gonna be the highest scoring quarterback. You can also play Lamar Jackson. It's just a tougher matchup versus San Francisco, but the guy's just a video game. It really doesn't matter who he plays. But I don't think Mahomes is gonna be quite possible. We can see if we can get. Obviously, we can get Higbee in, but 3,600 left. I really don't think it's gonna be that viable. You might have to pay down from Cyclone Barkley to someone like Jonathan Williams. So you might have to go double cheapish at running back, which, what is he, 5,300? Yeah. So you could do it that way. You could fit in Dede. You get 4,300 left. I don't know if you can get. Not my favorites. So it's looking like the mid-range quarterback is probably going to be the way I like to go here. I don't think you can fit in Sammy. Well, I guess you could probably fit in Sammy Watkins, get one of his pass catchers in, so maybe you can try that. So he's 5,400. Oops. It gives you 3,900 left. You could definitely go with Demaryius Thomas. You could upgrade your defense. I don't know who's throwing out. Albert Wilson, not my favorite play in the world. Auden Tate, actually not the worst play. Him and Andy Dalton had a connection, but the way I'm liking to go mid-range at quarterback, because I really don't think it's worth going up to Patrick Mahomes just to get up from Dede Westbrook to Sammy Watkins. And so I'm kind of liking that mid-range quarterback build. Yeah, you can play Lamar Jackson as well, but I'm really liking that mid quarterback 6K range. So Jared Goff's around there, Carson Wentz, Nick Foles. I like those guys better than really spending all the way down or all the way up. But you could definitely go with Andy Dalton and try to just play around and see what you can get. But I do like the original build we had, which was Jared Goff, getting up to Cyclone Barkley. Getting to Cyclone Barkley, which he is 7,400, and then getting to Dede. And then just dropping all the way down to Demaryius Thomas, which not the worst flyer in the world. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. Like I said, not a guaranteed lineup I will end up using, but I got to be honest, it looks pretty solid to me, and I have no problems if you do. But just letting you know, not an absolute guaranteed lineup because things can change throughout the day. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope this was helpful. I got to eat some breakfast. It's 11 o'clock. I haven't ate yet. I am starving. So wish you guys the best of luck. Have a great Sunday. Hope all of your teams win, unless you're a Steelers fan. Hope you lose. I'm sorry. But see you guys in the next video.